Did you think Britain's economic collapse was just bad luck or global turmoil? Think again. What if the real culprits are the very people promising to fix it, Keir Starmer and Reeves? In this video, we uncover the devastating impact of their choices: rising inflation, vanishing jobs, and broken promises. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see the Labour leadership forever.
The Chancellor tax. She taxed jobs and wealth creation. She's destroyed livelihoods, businesses clobbered, big and small companies, the backbone of our economy. Enterprise crushed on the altar of her ineptitude. The CIPD telling us a third of those businesses affected will shed labour. Morrison's losing 200 jobs, Tesco 400, Sainsbury's 3,000 jobs lost. No wonder the Federation of Small Business say that outside of the pandemic, business confidence has been left at its lowest level on record. But it's not just businesses, Mr. Speaker. It's charities, it's GPs, it's pharmacists, it's those who transport children who have special educational needs, and it is hospices caring. In this House, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party had the opportunity yesterday and last week to stop that, but they voted our amendments down.
You're not going to tax wealth. You're not going to do much with income tax. You're leaving the profits of the banks, the water and the energy untouched.
And we will never let their constituents forget it. Mr. Speaker, the real black hole, Mr. Speaker, the real black hole is not the one the Chancellor invented, it is the one the Chancellor created. It's not a central problem, Mr. Speaker, the fact that this Chancellor is a gambler. Even with her fiddled fiscal targets, she left way too little headroom. And it's not the truth that whilst the Right Honourable Lady said at the last budget that that was a once-in-a-Parliament reset, she rolled the dice on a wafer-thin margin, and she lost. Reckless with her fingers crossed, she fiddled the targets and she missed them.
I'm not sure about the language we use. I think there are better words and more constructive words the Shadow Chancellor would prefer to use.
Can I just point out, thank you, Mr. Can I just point out that all of her fiscal headroom disappeared, not just some of it. In fact, she went underwater to the tune of £4.1 billion. Mr. Speaker, reeling from one fiscal event to the next is not a way to run the public finance.
Nothing works anymore. 14 years ago, the Conservatives said that they would fix the economy. But the truth is, things have got much worse. Our public services are collapsing. The NHS is on its knees. Schools are crumbling. Labour has a comprehensive plan to build more homes so families can get on the housing ladder, to grow our economy, including in the low-carbon industries of the future, and a plan for growth to make working people better off all across the United Kingdom. If you want change, then vote Labour.
And breaking your fiscal rules to the extent that the Right Honourable Lady has in just 6 months is a public humiliation. And could I ask her, would she scrap the absurd Chagos deal and put that money behind our armed forces? Mr. Speaker, the economy is in a perilous state. But there was a different way. There were different choices on taxing and spending and borrowing and on productivity and on wealth. Because it's an alien idea, Mr. Speaker, to the party opposite. So that we can be fair to the taxpayer, but equally fair to the many people up and down our country, some of whom are highly vulnerable. This was an approach on our watch that led to £5 billion of savings across the forecast period and 450,000 fewer people going on to long-term sickness and disability benefits as a direct consequence.
Wages in this country have had the longest squeeze, not since the 1950s, not since 1900, since the Battle of Waterloo, real terms pay. I mean, if you look at it as well, the public sector workers, these are the pay, of course, that MPs have set. An experienced nurse had a real terms pay cut of a quarter under the
in their pocket.
When you look at your personal tax bill, does it make you wince?
What makes me wince is when I look at my bank statement and I find that the money coming in is increasingly short of the money going out, whether it's the mortgage or the gas and electricity bills, the weekly shop. All of the money that all of us spend over Christmas is putting a huge toll on family finances, and I think very few people are not feeling the effects of that today.
Your plans...
What you just saw wasn't politics as usual. It wasn't a carefully scripted press conference, nor a vague promise wrapped in rehearsed slogans. It was a raw, unapologetic exposure of a truth the Labour leadership desperately wants to bury. The MP didn't just speak, they detonated a political bomb in the heart of Westminster, and its shockwaves are still echoing. Let's be absolutely clear, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have failed this country. They walked into Parliament with polished speeches and empty reassurances, pretending to be the grown-ups in the room, the steady hands meant to steer Britain back on track. But when you strip away the rhetoric, you're left with a bleak reality. Under their so-called leadership, Britain's economy is slowing, inflation is rising, businesses are crumbling, and the people are suffering. And the most insulting part? They expect you to believe none of it is their fault. Let's talk facts. Just a year ago, the UK had the fastest growing economy in the G7. Now? Growth has been slashed in half. Inflation, which had been under control, is now forecasted to nearly double, pushing prices of food, fuel, and everyday essentials through the roof. Thousands of jobs have disappeared, from Morrison's to Tesco, from small charities to major pharmacies, yet Rachel Reeves still wants you to think it's all global pressures. Really? Is that what leadership looks like, pointing fingers and dodging accountability while ordinary people drown in bills they can't pay? We know better. You know better. You felt the pain of watching your payslip stay the same while your energy bill doubled. You've seen friends lose their jobs, neighbors close their businesses, families cutting back on meals just to make rent. And while all this was happening, Reeves and Starmer were too busy spinning narratives to notice or care. This wasn't just a critique of poor policy. What we witnessed in Parliament was a direct, merciless challenge to the very credibility of Starmer and Reeves. The MP laid it out with surgical precision, a pattern of broken promises, reckless spending, and an utter lack of courage to admit failure. The Labour Party said they would be different. They said they had a plan. But when tested, their plan crumbled, and they fell back on the oldest trick in the political book: blame someone else. But blaming Putin won't lower your gas bill. Blaming the Tories won't save your local GP surgery. And blaming global markets won't bring your child's education back from the brink. This is not just about economic graphs and forecasts, this is about real consequences for real people. The Federation of Small Businesses has said confidence is at its lowest level on record outside of the pandemic. That's not a statistic. That's your high street. That's your local pub. That's the family-run shop down the road that just closed its doors for good. And the cherry on top? Reeves, with a straight face, dares to lecture us about fiscal responsibility after fiddling the numbers, missing every target, and creating a £4.1 billion black hole. Let that sink in. Billions lost, jobs gone, inflation rising, and yet the shadow chancellor wants applause for her plan. This isn't a plan. It's a disaster in motion. So here's the question: how much longer will we let them get away with this? Because make no mistake, this isn't the end of the damage. If these are the results while Labour is in opposition, imagine what would happen if they were handed the keys to number 10. Starmer's entire platform is built on a lie that he's a safe pair of hands. But the truth is, his hands are tied by cowardice, indecision, and a complete lack of vision. Reeves, for all her talk, is just as complicit. She rolled the dice on thin margins and lost, and now you are paying the price. The MP's intervention wasn't just bold, it was a wake-up call. It exposed the myth that Labour is ready to lead. It destroyed the illusion that Reeves is a capable economic strategist. And it proved, without a doubt, that this version of the Labour Party is not the solution, it's part of the problem. The public is tired. You're tired. We've endured 14 years of promises, resets, and resets of those resets. The truth is, neither side of the aisle has delivered. But this? This is a new level of deception. We need leadership that tells the truth. Leadership that takes responsibility. Leadership that puts working families, small businesses, and national security ahead of spin and spectacle. If Starmer and Reeves can't even own up to the consequences of their own policies now, how can we trust them to navigate what's coming next? Let's not forget this moment. Let's not forget the silence in the chamber when the MP spoke truth to power. Let's not forget how Starmer's confidence cracked and Reeves fumbled for excuses. And most importantly, let's not forget what their choices have cost you, your family, and your future. If you felt the weight of their failure in your wallet, your job, your community, then share this video. Talk about it. Question it. Demand better. Because the time for excuses is over. And Britain deserves more than a pair of polished speeches and empty promises. We deserve leadership that works. Leadership that fights. Leadership that tells the truth, even when it hurts. Are Starmer and Reeves up to that challenge? After what we've just seen, you already know the answer.